Life is what happens while we're busy making other plans. Never in my lifetime has that saying been truer than in the last month or so. In my last update, I talked about the fact that we were going to be closing on a lot in Ely on September 24th. But just a few days before we were going to close on that lot, the Wright house came on the market. To make a long story short, we ended up making an offer on the house, and it was accepted. So now we have a lot. Not sure what we're going to do with it yet. Might just resell it in a year or two if we can, or who knows. At the moment we don't know, but now we're in the process of buying a house. The house is in a very, very nice part of Ely. For those who are familiar with Ely, it's on Beacon Hill. Very nice house, and yeah, looking forward to it. We were originally going to close on it on October 30th, but because everybody's been so busy this year, because of the real estate market being so hot, now our purchase agreement reads no later than November 13th. So sometime within the first 2 weeks of November, we should be closing on it. So that's one piece of news that came up while we were making other plans. Thankfully, we hadn't gone very far down the building road, so we didn't owe anything on that. The lot was inexpensive enough that it's not a big deal. So we can sit tight on it for a while. Maybe someday, like I said, sell it for a profit. Unfortunately, I mean that's all the good news. Unfortunately, there's some bad news too. Something else happened to our lives while we were busy making other plans. Pat had a mammogram that showed something suspicious. The ensuing biopsy showed that it does need to be removed. So she's going in for surgery on she's scheduled for surgery on October 27th. So it's probably just as well that we're not closing on the 30th, because that would be way too soon for her to be traveling anyway. So in a way, the move out of the closing date was a blessing in disguise. She had something similar before, not quite as big an area, about 4 or 5 years ago. At that time she had a lumpectomy and didn't have to have radiation or chemo or anything like that afterwards. She was deemed to be cancer-free after that. Apparently at that time that particular cancer was the kind that isn't very aggressive, isn't very likely to spread to other parts of the body, etc., etc. We won't know until after the surgery this time just what the long-term prognosis is. So it's kind of hard to celebrate both the lot and the house, given our other news. But like I said, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. So at least we know that when it's caught early enough, breast cancer is one of the most treatable forms of cancer there is. So just hoping for a very good outcome from the whole thing. So yeah, that's what life's been doing for me. Right now, I am paddling on Lake One in the Boundary Waters. That was the other part of the plan that kind of fell apart. Was I was supposed to be spending a couple of days clearing the lot, then coming in for a trip with Jim and Brian, and then going back and doing some more. I keep calling it clearing the lot. It's not clearing. I just wanted to thin out some of the trees. There's a lot of young trees on the lot, and I just wanted to thin it out. I didn't really want to clear the lot per se. Judicious pruning, I guess, is a better way of putting it. Anyway, with the house coming up, of course, there's no need to do anything with the lot now. We might go in there and thin it out just to make it maybe a little bit more attractive to future buyers, because right now you can't really get into most of the lot and look at it because it's so brushy. But anyway, there's no big urgency on getting that done. So because of that, I backed off the trip. Of course, the other thing was that Pat's biopsy was scheduled for October 1st, and it was like September 27th, 28th, something like that, that I had been planning to come up. So I delayed coming up until after I found out what the results of the biopsy were and what the next step was. Meanwhile, for a couple of different reasons, Brian, Minnesota mostly, decided to go and hike the Kekakabit Trail instead of coming canoeing with us. And I'll let him talk about his reasons and whatever about that, if he so desires. Jim went ahead and he came in on his own on the 1st of October. After we found out the results from the biopsy and the surgery got scheduled and all the rest of that, then I got the okay from my wife, Pat, to come out and join Jim. Well, Jim went in on Gabbro Lake, and so I had told him that I might be showing up on the Sunday, but of course, you know, he came in before I knew everything about the biopsy and everything. But I told him that there was a possibility I would be coming in on the Sunday the 4th. Well, as things turned out, I didn't make it up here until the 5th, yesterday. So I drove into the parking lot at Gabbro and just got a couple of things out of the car, and here comes Jim up the Portage Trail. He was leaving Gabbro, and he didn't feel like turning around and doing that 200-rod portage again, and I don't blame him. And apparently the landing at Gabbro is extremely muddy this year with the low water. You now have to walk out past the sandy part into lake bottom mud. So the landing isn't very pleasant. He didn't want to do the 200-rod portage again, and so we decided to, you know, he was going to go home, but when he saw me, then he decided he would spend one night with me, so we came out to Lake One. There's no portaging required. Um, we had heavy winds yesterday, so we didn't come very far into Lake One. But anyway, that's where we are, or that's where I am now. He left this morning. Today is October 6th, by the way. Um, he left this morning. I accompanied him back to the landing and back to the camp. Came back to the campsite. So it's just Sam and I. Sam and me. I'm not sure how long we're going to stay or what we're going to do. When we were talking about going to Gabbro, I was thinking of spending a couple of nights there and then going down to Bald Eagle, spending a couple of nights and then back out again. But since we're on Lake One, I could go on up the numbered chain fairly easily. The only problem being, of course, that except for Lake One, most of the rest of it was affected pretty badly by the fire a few years ago. So I'm not sure I really want to do that. So I might just spend a few days here on Lake One, do some poking around, exploring. Lake One is a beautiful lake, but all I've ever done is gone through it on my way to and from other places, just because it's usually so crowded. It's a very busy lake during the summer. Of course, this time of the year, not so bad. Still a fair number of people out here. It's still not isolated, but it's not as bad as it usually is. So anyway, basically this is a go with the flow trip. No plans, nothing in particular I want to accomplish other than to just relax, enjoy myself, enjoy being here, and maybe get some decent video. Although I realize that the traveling videos are a little bit more interesting than the sitting in place videos. So yeah, that's where my life is taking me right now. That's where I am right now. So another thing I should mention, I have started doing the prologue for my August trip. It's almost done, but quite frankly, it's been almost done for about 2 weeks now. And I just didn't have time to work on it anymore. Of course, part of that is all the documentation I've been having to gather together for the loan application. Part of it is everything else that's been going on. So who knows when I'll get that finished up, but you'll probably be watching this particular video. I'll put that prologue aside and post this update, so you'll see this before you see the prologue. But anyway, that's something for you to look forward to, I guess. And oh, we got a beaver up ahead here. And of course he splashed way before we got to him. So of course you have the August trip to look forward to, and now this trip. So ought to keep me busy, very busy, getting the editing and everything done in the days ahead. And of course, once we close on that house, I'm going to be busy starting the moving process, which is not going to be a quick endeavor. So anyway, it's getting kind of dark now. The sun is pretty much gone, and I gotta start making my way back to the campsite. Back, have an evening snack, probably have some hot chocolate, and then look at turning in for the night. It's 6:30 now. So, as always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little update, little evening paddle, and remember all the, thumbs up, commenting, subscribing, all that kind of good stuff. So hope to see you on trail someday. Nibby Lux out.